The internet is trembling, Atlanta's gossip scene is in meltdown, and hip-hop fans everywhere are clutching their pearls because T.I. just revealed the one thing he swore he'd never say out loud. The self-proclaimed king of the South, the man who built an empire on confidence, control, and charisma, just broke down and exposed the heartbreaking truth about his son. And it's got everyone wondering if the Harris family crown just cracked in half. Forget the flashy music videos, the luxury cars, and the perfect family photos. This isn't about rap beef, reality TV drama, or celebrity egos. This is raw. This is real. This is a father finally losing the battle between pride and pain. And when you hear what T.I. confessed, you'll understand why fans are saying this makes the Kardashians look like a kindergarten talent show. This isn't some PR stunt. This isn't for clout. This is a man publicly wrestling with failure, fame, and fatherhood. The words he said left Tiny speechless, left King silent, and left the internet sobbing like it just watched a funeral for a family dream. Grab your popcorn, your tissues, and your group chat because T.I. didn't just speak his truth. He detonated it. It started like any other interview, cameras rolling, lights shining. T.I. sitting back in that signature kingpin posture he's perfected over decades. Calm, collected, untouchable. The host cracked a smile, easing him into casual talk about music, legacy, and family. Then came the question that changed everything. So, how's your son King doing these days? For a man known for his sharp comebacks and philosophical one-liners, what came next wasn't swagger. It was silence. A long, heavy, soul-crushing silence that said more than any rap verse ever could. T.I. looked down, exhaled deeply, and muttered, "Sometimes being a father ain't enough." The internet exploded before he could even finish his sentence. Within minutes, clips from that single moment hit social media like digital wildfire. You could feel the collective gasp. Fans froze mid-scroll. Even people who hadn't kept up with the Harris family drama suddenly needed to know what broke T.I. The man who built an empire out of confidence and control? That sentence cracked open the facade of the perfect hip-hop family. The same family that graced red carpets, headlined reality shows, and inspired memes about Black excellence was suddenly showing cracks, real, painful human cracks. The man who taught fans about hustle, loyalty, and discipline had just admitted defeat in the most vulnerable way possible, and this wasn't random. The tension had been building for years, boiling underneath the family's glossy public image. Fans had watched the father-son bond between T.I. and King Harris twist from funny family banner into public friction. At first, it was jokes, the kind of playful teasing you see between confident dads and loud-mouthed sons. But somewhere along the line, the laughs disappeared and the bitterness started talking. King Harris, the golden child with superstar potential, began walking down a different road. The flashy Instagram lives, the wild quotes, the rebellious attitude, it was entertainment for fans, but agony for a father trying to pull his son back to reality. King wasn't just trying to stand out. He was trying to step out from under a shadow the size of Atlanta. And that shadow's name was T.I. The feud became public when King went live bragging about growing up in the trenches, claiming he'd been through the struggle. Fans were confused. Trenches? You mean the gated community with the pool house? T.I. fired back instantly, posting, "Boy, you grew up in a mansion, the only trenches you saw were the ones in the lawn." It was funny at first, but underneath the humor was heartbreak. Everyone saw it coming. Every live stream, every quote, every side-eye moment was a ticking time bomb. And when that bomb finally went off, it went off on camera. Remember that viral moment at the Atlanta Falcons game? T.I. and King in a heated argument, Tiny trying to hold the peace, security looking like they needed therapy after. It wasn't a skit. It wasn't scripted. That was the sound of a dynasty cracking in public. So when T.I. sat in that chair and said, "Sometimes being a father ain't enough," fans knew exactly what he meant. The man wasn't talking about discipline, he was talking about distance, the emotional kind. The kind that fame builds between a parent and a child when the cameras never stop rolling. Twitter erupted with reactions. "This is real pain," one fan wrote. T.I. looks like a man who built an empire and lost the thing he valued most. Another said, "That's not just a father talking, that's a king watching his heir burn down the castle." You could feel the shift. The jokes stopped. The memes got quieter. People were genuinely hurt for him. Even celebrities started weighing in. 50 Cent reposted the clip with a caption that read, "Being a dad harder than making a hit record." Rick Ross wrote, "This that real talk we need from OGs, and Boosie?" He jumped on live saying, "Man, when your kids get grown, they gon' test you." But that boy King better chill, Tip ain't one of them play daddies. But what really broke the internet was T.I.'s face in that moment. The man who once spat verses like "No Mercy" suddenly looked like mercy itself. He wasn't angry. He wasn't defensive. He was just tired. Like a man who had fought every battle in music and business, in life, and realized fatherhood was the only one he couldn't win with strategy. Tiny posted later that night a soft photo of a candle flickering, no caption. Fans filled the comments with heartbreak emojis. Everyone knew that was her quiet way of saying, "We're hurting, but we're still praying." Meanwhile, King went live again. Sitting in his car, wearing sunglasses at night, he said, "I love my family, but I'm me. Y'all don't get it." That line split the internet in half. Half the people called him ungrateful. The other half said he was just trying to find himself outside of his father's fame. Either way, it was chaos, family drama wrapped in fame and played out for millions. The blogs turned it into a full-blown soap opera. T.I. versus King Harris. The battle for respect. Tiny caught in the middle. Atlanta royalty faces its darkest hour. Every headline made it sound like an episode of Empire, except this wasn't fiction. This was real emotion. Real generational pain. And through it all, T.I. stayed quiet for a few days. Fans were refreshing his page every hour, waiting for a reaction, an update, anything. When he finally posted again, it wasn't what people expected. It was just a black background with white text that said, "You can teach love, but you can't force understanding." That line hit like poetry. It was the kind of quote that belongs in every father's handbook, raw, reflective, and full of sorrow. The comment section exploded. "This man speaking from the soul." That's not a caption, that's therapy. We all watching a father bleed in real time. And it was true, it wasn't about fame anymore. It was about humanity. The curtain had dropped, and behind it was a dad who couldn't protect his son from the one enemy he couldn't control: pride. Even family friends started speaking up. Shakina said during a podcast, "Tip loves that boy. But sometimes love ain't enough when the world keeps feeding your child ego instead of guidance." Fans replayed that clip like a sermon. It wasn't gossip anymore. It was gospel. By the time the week ended, every major media outlet had picked up the story. People weren't tuning in to laugh. They were tuning in to listen, to witness a rare moment of truth in an industry built on facades. And that's the thing about T.I., no matter what you think of him. When he speaks from the heart, it cuts through the noise. This wasn't the king of the South talking. This was a man watching his reflection walk away and realizing he can't chase it anymore. The world wasn't ready for this level of honesty. But T.I. didn't care about readiness. He cared about release. And with that one confession, sometimes being a father ain't enough, he reminded everyone that fame can make you rich, but it can't make your family whole. And somewhere out there, King was watching, maybe angry, maybe confused, but definitely listening. Because deep down, no matter how loud the world gets, every son still hears the heartbreak in his father's voice. The next 48 hours after that interview dropped were absolute pandemonium. The internet didn't just react, it combusted. Every social media platform turned into a digital courtroom, and the Harris family was on trial. T.I.'s emotional confession became the clip of the week, playing on loop across gossip pages, podcasts, and reaction channels like the soundtrack to a public breakdown. You couldn't scroll without seeing it. TikTok edits with dramatic music, YouTube thumbnails screaming T.I. breaks down, and Twitter threads dissecting every pause and blink from the interview. The man hadn't even cried, but the pain in his tone hit harder than tears ever could. "That's a broken father right there," one comment read. "That's not disappointment, that's heartbreak in HD." But this is the internet. Empathy only lasts about 5 minutes before the circus begins. Memes started rolling in faster than TMZ updates. One showed T.I. staring at King's photo with the caption, "You either die a rapper or live long enough to see your son turn into a meme." Another read, "Family hustle turned into family hustle and heartbreak." It was dark humor at its peak, painful but addictive. And then the reactions from celebrities started pouring in. Charlamagne Tha God called it one of the most honest moments in hip-hop. 50 Cent reposted the clip again, writing, "See, even a king gotta deal with kid problems. You can't parent pride." Meanwhile, Boosie jumped back on live saying, "Man, T.I. did what every daddy gotta do, tell the truth, even when it hurt." But the real shock came from the people who stayed silent, King himself and Tiny. No posts, no statements, just stillness. And that silence was louder than any interview. It felt like the calm before another viral storm. When King finally broke his silence, it wasn't through an interview or a statement, it was through music. He dropped a snippet on Instagram with lyrics that sounded like they were aimed straight at his father. "Y'all don't know my story. Y'all just know the house. Daddy want control. But I'm building my own route." The comment section exploded. "He's talking about T.I. Oh, this is generational war set to a beat. This is father versus son, the mixtape." Within hours, the clip had over 1 million views and enough controversy to fill an album rollout. Meanwhile, T.I. responded the only way he knows how, indirectly but decisively. He posted an old photo of King sitting on his lap as a toddler, captioned, "I'll always love you, even when love feels like losing." It was calm, dignified, and painfully raw. You could feel that he wasn't fighting back, he was trying to reach out. But the internet doesn't reward peace. It rewards drama. Fans started taking sides like it was a championship game. Team T.I. said, "The man raised a legend, and this is how he gets repaid." Team King clapped back. Every generation got to break the chains of their parents' expectations. It turned into a cultural debate about fame, fatherhood, and the curse of raising kids in the spotlight. Podcasts everywhere started analyzing it like a case study. One show titled the episode "When Legacy Becomes a Burden." Another said, "T.I. versus King, hip-hop's realest family feud." Everyone was suddenly a therapist, talking about trauma, pride, and what happens when your childhood becomes clickbait. And through all that noise, Tiny finally spoke. She went live for just 5 minutes, but it was enough to reset the entire narrative. "Ain't no winners in family pain," she said softly. "We love our son, we love each other, and sometimes love hurt before it heal." Her words were simple, but they hit like truth serum. The internet quieted down for about 10 seconds. Then the blogs clipped her quote, spun it into new headlines, and the carousel of chaos started again. Tiny says families still divided. Tiny hints at emotional distance. Tiny's tired of being the peacemaker. None of that was what she said, but when has accuracy ever stopped a viral storm? Meanwhile, fans dug up old clips from T.I. and Tiny, the family hustle. Moments that once seemed sweet now looked prophetic. There was one where T.I. tried to lecture King about respect, and King rolled his eyes. Back then, it was funny. Now it felt like the prequel to Heartbreak. Another clip of Tiny telling T.I. he's growing into his own man resurfaced like a digital ghost, haunting everyone who had laughed the first time. And if that wasn't enough, the situation took a new twist. A podcast host claimed to have a leaked off-camera moment from the interview, an unreleased part where T.I. allegedly said, "I lost touch with my son trying to keep him from losing himself." Whether real or fake, it spread like wildfire. Everyone reposted it, everyone quoted it, and the phrase "lost touch trying to protect him" became the new emotional anthem of the week. Even mainstream outlets got involved. CNN ran an article titled "T.I. and the Struggles of Celebrity Parenting." Rolling Stone wrote, "The price of the hustle, when legacy turns heavy." Suddenly, this wasn't just gossip, it was psychology, sociology, and heartbreak, all blended into a public therapy session for the world to consume. But as the story spread, fans began to look inward. People started sharing their own stories in the comments, broken relationships with parents, generational misunderstandings, family feuds that never healed. The horror story had stopped being just their story. It became everyone's reflection. Still, not everyone saw it that way. King's latest social post reopened the wound. He wrote, "They only love you when you're who they want you to be." No names, but everyone knew who he meant. Within minutes, T.I.'s comment section turned into a war zone. "You failed him. He's disrespectful." Both of them made therapy, not followers. Even celebrities who usually stay quiet about drama couldn't resist. Fat Joe commented, "This father-son stuff real. Don't nobody got the answers." And Snoop Dogg posted an old clip of him talking to his sons with the caption, "We all learning on the job." But the rawest moment came when a fan captured T.I. leaving his studio that night. Paparazzi shouted questions, flashing cameras in his face. He didn't respond until one asked, "Tip, how do you fix things with King?" He paused mid-step, looked straight at the lens, and said, "By never giving up on him." Then he got in his car and drove off. No bodyguards pushing, no security blocking, just a father still trying. Even when the world had turned his pain into performance, the clip went viral instantly. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't messy, it was real. And maybe that's why it hit harder than any headline. You could feel the exhaustion, the love, and the regret all at once. The man wasn't trying to win anymore. He was trying to heal. By now, the public was split. Some were rooting for reconciliation. Others were convinced this was the point of no return. But one thing was clear, this wasn't a story about fame anymore. It was about the limits of love, the curse of pride, and the impossible task of being human in front of millions. I didn't plan to start a movement that week. But in trying to tell his truth, he'd sparked one of the realest conversations hip-hop has ever seen. And the world couldn't stop watching by the time the weekend hit. The Harris family's story had gone from viral clip to full-blown cultural moment. This wasn't just gossip anymore, it was heartbreak trending worldwide. The words T.I., King Harris, and fatherhood were sitting side by side on Twitter's top trending list like some tragic family reunion sponsored by Chaos. Every podcast, news outlet, and fan page had turned into an open mic about parenting, pride, and pain. And while the world was analyzing him, T.I. was silent. No tweets, no interviews. Just stillness, that eerie silence that means something's about to drop. Then, out of nowhere, he posted a clip that stopped the internet cold. It wasn't music. It wasn't an ad. It was a black and white video of him sitting in his studio, no jewelry, no shades, no filters. He said, "I ain't perfect. I've been everything except that. But everything I ever did came from love. Sometimes love don't look like hugs and smiles. Sometimes it looked like hurt and silence." That single clip hit millions of views in hours. It wasn't the rapper talking, it was the father confessing. You could feel the pain, the regret, and the hope all tangled together. Fans started flooding the comments with "real men cry in silence." This hit harder than any verse he ever wrote, and you can hear the love fighting through the heartbreak. Tiny posted the clip on her story with one line, "Truth always sound like pain before it sound like healing." That alone sent everyone spiraling. It was official, the Harris house wasn't broken, it was bruised. Then King broke his silence again. In a late-night Instagram story, he wrote, "I ain't mad at nobody. I just needed space." Simple, almost too calm. The internet gasped. For once, there was no anger, no bravado, no shade. Just exhaustion. It was the closest thing to peace the family had seen in months, but the public wasn't ready to let the story rest. Every outlet twisted the smallest detail into a new headline. T.I. and King reconcile. Tiny plays mediator in family peace talks. King's secret message to his dad. It was like watching a soap opera play out on a global stage, and that's when the deeper reflection began. Fans started realizing how heavy this situation really was. This wasn't about fame or clout or content. This was the reality of a father and son drowning in expectations, one trying to live up to a legend, the other trying not to lose his child in the process. T.I. wasn't battling his son anymore. He was battling the consequences of raising a generation that doesn't fear fame. Only obscurity. The irony was brutal. T.I. built his career preaching discipline, growth, and control, but fatherhood doesn't follow scripts. You can't negotiate with rebellion, you can't hustle love, and you can't micromanage pain. And in that moment, the man who once declared himself king of the South was now just a dad realizing the crown don't mean much when your castle feels empty. Other artists started showing support publicly. Snoop Dogg posted, "Ain't no manual for this fatherhood thing. We all figuring it out." Fat Joe commented, "You can win Grammys and still lose sleep over your kids." Even Erykah Badu shared a post that said, "When our children push away, it's because they're learning how to hold themselves." Suddenly, the entire hip-hop community turned soft. Everyone saw themselves in this story. Everyone saw themselves in this story. Meanwhile, King's energy started shifting. He went from angry to introspective. In a new live session, he said, "People love drama, but y'all don't know the love behind it. That's my pops, we gon' be good. Y'all just watching the in-between." That one statement turned the entire internet upside down. Fans flooded him with messages of support. "Growth looks good on you. King, you talking like your daddy raised you right after all." It was the moment everyone had been waiting for, a sign that healing might actually be possible. I responded quietly, reposting a photo of him and King from years ago with the caption, "We gon' be good, always have been." No hashtags. No promo, no flash, just peace. It wasn't a comeback post, it was a full circle one. For a family that had lived their entire lives under a microscope, this was the first glimpse of light after months of emotional fog. But, of course, the internet doesn't like closure, it likes cliffhangers. As soon as things started calming down, someone leaked another clip from that original interview, one where T.I. said, "I love that voice so much it hurts. But sometimes you gotta let go so they can come back on their own." That line reignited everything. Fans reposted it with captions like, "The hardest part of parenting is watching from a distance," and "Realest thing a dad ever said." Even people outside hip-hop started quoting him. News anchors, relationship coaches, and motivational speakers were dissecting that line like it came from a holy text. T.I. turned fatherhood into philosophy, one journalist wrote. Another said, "This moment just changed how we talk about Black fatherhood in America." And they weren't exaggerating, the clip became a cultural reset. But while the world analyzed the pain, the Harris family was finally exhaling. Behind the scenes, sources said the father and son had met privately. No cameras, no posts, no filters. Just a talk raw, long overdue. Whatever was said in that room stayed between them. But the next morning, King posted a single word, respect. Fans knew what it meant. The war was over for now. The public's reaction was pure relief. Comment sections filled with messages like, "I can finally sleep," "Real fathers don't give up," and "This is what growth looks like." It was the kind of ending nobody expected, not flashy, not dramatic, just human. For years, T.I. had been the symbol of power and precision, the man who always had an answer for everything. But this time, his greatest power came from admitting he didn't, by being vulnerable. He did what few celebrities ever do. He reminded everyone watching that fame can build walls, but love can still break through. And maybe that's why this story resonated so deeply. Because this wasn't about the Harris family anymore. It was about every parent trying to connect, every child trying to be understood, and every family trying to heal in a world that profits off their pain. The legacy of this moment wasn't a scandal. It was a lesson. That even kings cry. That even icons fail. That sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is tell the truth, even when it breaks your image to save your soul. And when T.I. posted one last message, a quote that read, "Real love survives the silence," the internet finally stopped arguing. For once, everyone agreed on one thing: this wasn't about fame. This was about forgiveness, and that's how the King of the South reminded the world that crowns don't protect hearts. T.I. didn't just drop a confession, he dropped a cultural reset. What started as an interview turned into an emotional earthquake, shaking the entire internet awake. For once, this wasn't about jewelry, fame, or flexing. This was about a father trying to save a bond before pride buried it forever. And let's be real, nobody saw this one coming. The man who used to drop bars about power and control just reminded us that even legends bleed. He turned pain into poetry, heartbreak into headlines, and showed every fan that behind every family hustle, smile is a storm you never see. So here's what I need from you. Smash that like button like you just found your ex in your DMs. Drop your thoughts in the comments like you're sitting at the Harris family dinner table. And make sure you hit that subscribe button, because around here, the truth drops louder than the beats. This isn't just a channel, it's where real life sounds like a movie. Where gossip meets gut punches, and where every secret comes out eventually. Tomorrow it could be Tiny's response, King's next track, or another Harris bombshell that breaks the timeline, and trust me, when it hits, we'll have it first. So stay messy, Stay curious and stay locked in, because on this channel, drama doesn't die, it just reloads. This is Trend Tattle, where receipts turn into revelations, heartbreak turns into history, and the tea never goes cold. Until next time. Remember, fame fades, truth echoes, and somewhere in Atlanta, the Harris story is still being written. Still being written.